Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
Archery isn't just practice, it's physics. Don't let wind, density, or bad marks steal your points. Pro Archery Ballistics puts a laboratory-grade ballistics calculator right in your pocket. Calculate exact trajectories, account for wind and density changes, generate tournament-accurate sight tapes and sight marks for any setup at any distance. Stop guessing. Download today.
My friend was driving down the track and he turned to go around a corner and I wasn't holding on and I fell out the back of the ute. And we were probably going maybe 50 kilometers an hour and my arm was just a complete banana, had bones sticking out the skin. And we were 3 hours into the trip. Like, that's as long as we were there. I had to call my mum up and say, yeah, look, here's what's happened. And she wasn't very happy with me.
Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and we got another great episode for you today. Today, we're actually connecting with Jesse Davies. Jesse is an Aussie. He is a fan of the show, and he had some great stories for us today. So I want to thank Jesse, of course, for coming on the podcast. Always appreciate it when someone reaches out, and even appreciate it more when they are a listener. But guys, I hope you guys enjoy the stories that he has for us today. I don't want to ruin anything because they are pretty wild. But please do give us a like and a follow if you like what you hear at the end of the episode. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off, though, and let Jesse tell you some of his stories. Thank you. All right, Jesse, welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast, brother. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited to have you. You are officially our first Australian, and you reached out saying, "Hey, I got some stories to tell." So I of course appreciate that because any podcast you know, it's hard to get guests, man. So thank you so much for coming on the show, being brave, and being our first Australian, man. Thank you.
No worries at all. Yeah, I honestly, I listen to your podcast a lot with what I do for work. I've got my headphones in 7 to 8 hours a day, and I absolutely love just sort of listening to everyone's stories. And you can sort of envision as they're telling it, you can sort of envision the stories that they're saying. So yeah, I thought I've probably got a few of my own that I could share, and yeah, that's why I jumped on.
That's really cool, man. I appreciate that you've been listening, especially from so far away. I guess I got to ask, obviously, heavily weighted towards North American hunting. Is that like appealing? Is that like a bucket list hunt for you, Jesse? Or is that like, or is it just like mapped pretty well to what you've always done with your hunting? Is it just like, same thing, just slightly different flavor?
Yeah, I'd say it's like same thing, different flavor. Like when I first started listening to the podcast, there was a lot of things that you guys would talk about and I had no idea. So there's a lot that I've had to sort of learn. But in saying that, like, when I watch things on YouTube, it's a lot of American stuff. It's all the elk hunting, and yeah, I absolutely love your hunting culture over there.
Okay. Very cool, man. Very cool. Well, let's do this, Jesse. I started asking questions too quick. Why don't you introduce yourself, man? Why don't you tell the folks who you are, obviously where you're from, how long you've been hunting, etc., and then we'll dive into some stories, brother.
Yeah, no worries. So my name's Jesse Davies. I'm 26 and I live in the Adelaide Hills in South Australia. And I've been hunting probably since age 10. Before that, I grew up on a little bit of land. Like my parents had a small farm. And yeah, I was always making like rabbit traps and snares and just being, a typical outdoors kid. And then, yeah, I picked up a bow sort of age 10. Bow hunted from probably 10 to 18 and then sort of got into the firearms and rifle hunt now. But yeah, a lot of my childhood was slinging arrows around.
That's amazing, man. Let me ask you this. I was just thinking, like, a lot of people in America think that we have like the perfect, this is what everyone should be doing. Everyone should be hunting this way, the North American model of wildlife conservation. I'm sure you've heard all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, what is the hunting culture in Australia? Because I just starting to feel it more and more that, like, obviously there's something unique about South Africa and what's going on down there, but the rest of the world, like, is it common for people to hunt, or are you kind of a diamond in the rough?
Yeah, so that's actually a really interesting question, and I was kind of hoping that you would actually ask that because I really like the way like America's structured their stuff with all of their tag system, and they've got seasons for everything. And over here in Australia, it is the polar opposite. Like I've got properties that we can go to and shoot deer, and there's no tag limits, nothing. You could honestly shoot as many as you want to. So it's the exact opposite, really. But yeah, like you asked, like there's not a lot of people really hunting down here. Like out of my friend group, I'm honestly the only one that would go out and shoot animals and harvest them. So yeah, I mean, obviously it depends where you go. Some parts of Australia there'd be more hunters, but yeah, where I'm located, there's not really many.
Okay. So the animals where you are from are kind of like, if they're on your land, they're your property. 'Cause that's kind of how it is in South Africa, right? In the United States, they're owned by a trust that is owned by all of the people of the country. So they're kind of fair game, which is why there's the tag system. But for you guys, is it the same as kind of South Africa, where it's, hey, it's on my property, it's my animal?
Yeah, exactly right. Like, yeah, if the deer's on your place, you can just, yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting, man. Okay. Well, cool. Well, awesome. I'm super excited to hear more about, like, honestly, I don't even know what species you guys hunt there in Australia. All that us Americans know, and granted, maybe I'm being naive, but, like, we just know that you guys have just, like, crazy, dangerous critters. So, I also heard that you guys like to pretend that there's, like, koala, like, when you bring people there, they, like, pretend the koalas are going to attack them from, like, the treetops or something like that. That's all
that
I
is
know.
pretty funny, yeah. So we do have...
Why don't you just set the stage? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so probably my first story, it's a massive failure, which I know from listening to your podcast, you seem to like those ones. So yeah, like I said, I sort of got into bow hunting when I was around the age of 10. And as I probably got to where I live in South Australia, we're a bit limited with what we can shoot. So on the properties that I hunt, we've only got rabbits and foxes and feral cats and things like that. And we wanted to chase feral goats and pigs. So one of them, like me and my friend, we actually planned to do a trip into New South Wales. And that's where a lot of the big billy goats are and pigs.
Interesting.
And
a couple quick questions.
Couple
quick questions before we dive too deep. You started bow hunting at 10. Did your family hunt, or did you just pick it up? Were you just like, this is something I want to try, Mom and Dad, help me get this started?
Yeah, so none of my family hunt at all. And it was actually one of my childhood best friends. He came over in the summer school holidays and he'd picked up a compound bow. And he brought it over and he set up a target and bought some arrows. And I shot his bow once and I was like, this is what I'm doing. And I went out and bought my very own bow the next week. And then from then, just hunted pretty much every single day. So I got addicted.
That's amazing, man. What did your parents think when they were like, oh God, this kid just went from like average Australian little boy to all of a sudden this stone cold killer?
Yeah, I think they thought I was a little bit crazy because, like you said, I went from not doing it to then I was shooting rabbits and skinning them and doing all sorts. But they got used to it pretty quick.
That's amazing. That's really, really cool. So at 10 years old, you and your friend were like, let's make a trip to a different, is it state or province, or how do you delineate in Australia?
Yeah, so we started hunting at 10 and then we sort of hunted for a few years. And then we're a little bit limited down here, so we wanted to start chasing some bigger game. We planned a trip. So it's in a different state of Australia, and it's probably about a 10-hour road trip from where we live, and we're about 15 or 16 at the time. And I told my mum.
Can you drive at that point, or did you have to have your parents take you?
Nah, we had to get my friend's older brother to drive us over there.
Okay. All right. I like where this is headed. This is fun.
Yeah. So I put this idea forward to my parents, and Dad was all right with it, and Mum was a little bit hesitant to let me go. Like, she liked my friends, but I think she was a bit worried about us going on this big hunting trip, and anything that could go wrong, which was probably, good foresight. But
Yeah.
yeah, so she was like adamant that I wasn't going to go, and I had to convince her for a couple of weeks. Dad was on my side, which was handy, and in the end, she let us go. And yeah, so we made the road trip over there, and the property that we went to was a 10-hour drive, and the property itself is 44,000 acres, so it's quite a big property here in Australia.
Okay.
And yeah, it's absolutely loaded with animals. Like, it's just the owners of the land farm a very small portion of it, and then the rest of it is just left to sort of run wild. And so that's why we were very keen to get up there.
And how did you get connected with these people? 10 hours away. How do how are these folks going, yeah, let's let these 15-year-olds hunt my land?
Yeah, so they're actually very good family friends of my parents.
Okay.
So that's how we made the connection.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so very lucky to have access to a property like that. So yeah, we made the trip up there. My mum wasn't very keen on me going, and we get up there, and they've got like this little hunting lodge on the property. So we drop all of our gear there, and we go and catch up with the property owner, and we'd bought him some cartons of beer for sort of letting us go on his property. So we met the landowners, and he showed us a map and where we could and couldn't go and whatever. And he pointed us out to this prime spot of land where he said, that's where you're going to find 90% of all your big goats and everything. And it was about a 2-hour drive from the house. And so he lent us his work ute, and he said, like, look, you can just drive out there if you want. Saves, walking. So we all loaded into the work ute, and it was only a 2-seater. So my friend and his brother were in the front, and I was just sitting on the back of the ute. And we were driving out to this spot. Yeah, you can see where this is going. We were driving out to the spot, and we're probably an hour down, hour to go type thing. And I wasn't really concentrating. I was sort of pretty bored at this point, and I was just sitting there. And my friend was driving down the track, and he turned to go around a corner, and I wasn't holding on, and I fell out the back of the ute. And we were probably going maybe 50 kilometers an hour. Like we weren't going super slow. And I just hit the ground very hard. And I stood up, and my arm was just a complete banana, had bones sticking out the skin, and it was
no.
And we were 3 hours into the trip. Like, that's as long as we were there. So it was like straight away. I had to call my mum up and say, "Yep, look, here's what's happened." And she wasn't very happy with me, but
Hey, Mom, your gut was right, Mom. You shouldn't have let me go.
Exactly. So it took me 4 hours to get to the nearest hospital with my arm like that, but we ended up getting it all sorted, and that trip was cut very short. But that was that was a big learning curve for sure. I think.
Dude, you just fractured your arm, bone sticking out of the skin, or was it like puncturing the skin, or was it just kind of like making a big old bump?
Yeah, no, one of them was out the skin a bit.
Goodness.
I'm not sure. It all sort of happened a bit too fast for me to really remember everything.
Yeah.
But I just remember hitting the ground very hard, and at first I thought I was all right, and then the adrenaline sort of wore off, and it started to hurt. So.
Jeez. And you were bow hunting? Did your bow survive?
Yes, but luckily the bow was just in the back of the ute, and that was completely fine. But
luckily, oh my gosh, God, that's terrible, man. I've never compound fractured something where it's like the bones are just obviously separated. I've had like some small little like hairline fractures, but I've never compounded. I think it's one of my like core fears. Like, I don't know how I would handle it. I might freak out and have like way too high pitched of a voice and be just a complete ninny if I did something like that, because I don't know, it just grosses me out. Everybody's got their thing. That might be my thing, man. So good story to start with. I'm sorry that happened to you. Did your mom ever let you hunt until you moved out again?
She did, yeah. She just wasn't too happy with me for a little bit because she actually felt like she had to drive up. So she ended up doing the road trip over to pick me up from the hospital. It was a bit of a quiet car ride home. It was funny now. We can look back at it and laugh. So.
Okay, so you got picked up by your mom. Did your buddy and his brother still go out and hunt?
They didn't actually. They waited with me at the hospital, and I felt so bad that they came home when I went home.
Okay, that's crazy, man. Okay, another question I probably should have asked at the beginning, but like, what kind of wild game do you guys have in Australia? Like everyone, when again, naive American, and I apologize, but when I think about Australia, I'm like snakes and spiders. I assume you're not bow hunting snake and spiders and nothing else. So what else are you guys going after? You said foxes, rabbits, goats. What other wild game is there out there in Australia?
Yeah, so in like most of Australia, you've got wild dogs, wild cats, foxes, rabbits, goats, wild pigs. They're sort of your main ones, and deer also. We've got a few species. So we've got fallow, red deer, I think chital. There's a couple of others. I'm not super up to speed with the deer side of things because I don't have a lot of access to that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they're sort of the main ones.
For the people listening, are axis deer here in the United States, and I've hunted those. They're delicious. But yeah, the chital is the native name. How did they get there? Because they're native to India.
Yeah, I'm actually not too sure on that. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then
any
if
other
you go,
species you want to throw out there?
Yeah, so if you go further north, so like northern Australia, we've got like buffalo, and there's also like wild scrub bull, which people do hunt as well. So bit of a mixed
that's
bag.
like a hog.
Bull, sorry. So like they're pretty much wild cows in a sense, and they get huge.
Oh, okay. Oh, really? Okay. And then buffalo, you're talking more about like a water buffalo, not like an American buffalo.
They're like the water buffalo. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool, man. All right. Well, thank you for the quick lesson. Keep going, Jesse.
Hopefully
I don't know if there's any more left on your. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything left in your arm break story, but if not, you can move on to the next one, or your choice, sir.
Yeah, no, that's all right. So after that first trip, obviously it was cut very short. And when I got home, my dad sort of said to me, he's like, look, once you rest up, your arm's good, we'll go again, and I'll take you up this time. So yeah, I think it was about 18 months later, we actually went back up to the same property, and I ended up getting my first goat with a bow, which was pretty awesome. Yeah, not really too much of a story, but it kind of just wraps up that last one nicely because it was sort of my first big game. Wasn't a massive billy, but it was a nice size, and yeah, it was just a good way of sort of.
Are they these goats? Are they like domestic goats that just kind of got loose and went wild, kind of like the hogs we have in America, or is it like I don't know? We have mountain goats here in Colorado that are not domesticated. Have you ever glassed a ridge for an hour and realized you're basically staring at a rock? You've earned a great cup of coffee. And if you've ever chased big game out west, you know the morning starts way before the sun, and usually in the kind of cold where every breath hangs in the air like a little cloud, giving away your position. My routine is simple. Boots, layers, pack, and Killshot coffee in the thermos. There's something about that first hot sip at the tailgate, headlamp on, fingers thawed out, where your brain finally switches from why am I awake to okay, let's go get 'em. If you want a solid cup of coffee for those early starts, scouting days, glassing sessions, or maybe just a Monday pretending to be on the mountain, check out Killshot Coffee. The link is in the show notes, and use code HSP5 for 5% off. Hey hunters, have you ever had one of those stories, the ones that you didn't want to tell, the ones that end in failure? Yeah, I've been there. Actually, you know what? The culprit for me usually is bad optics, or worse, lack of using my optics at all. Picture this. I spot a trophy buck, or an antelope, or an elk, whatever it may be. My heart is racing, but the blurry view, or I just can't quite identify exactly what I'm looking at, it has me second guessing. Well, that's where Vortex Optics comes in. With crystal clear glass and rugged durability, Vortex gives you the confidence to take the shot. Don't let poor optics ruin your story. Make every moment count. Upgrade to Vortex and turn your hunting tales into triumphs. Visit vortexoptics.com today.
Introducing Gold Bond Scented Hand Creams, your hand's new playlist. Start with Vanilla Dream for soft, sweet vibes. Drop a beat with Floral Bloom for hydration that hits. Citrus Pop, that's your glow-up anthem. And Cedar Rain, pure chill tracks. Gold Bond Scented Hand Creams, 4 amazing scents, 24-hour hydration. Love the scent, feel the hydration. Shop now at Walmart.
Yeah, I believe they're more so like a domesticated goat that has gotten free at some point. But we've got like millions of them across Australia. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Is it good eating?
If you shoot the right one, so we don't really eat the billies because they're like, yeah, they just smell real bad. But yeah, if you shoot like a nanny
Okay.
or a big enough kid, they're beautiful to eat. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Very cool. All right. Well, keep going, man. Let's go on to the next one. Story was short and sweet and surprised me and
Yeah.
it grossed me out. So I appreciate that.
So yeah, no, that's right. So probably the next story I've got is we've got a very famous part of South Australia not too far away from us, and it's called the Flinders Ranges. Not sure if you've ever
Okay.
heard of it or not, but it's a very well-known spot for like camping. There's a lot of national parks, hiking, and it's very good hunting. There's a lot of goats in the Flinders Ranges, and it's very steep, rocky, beautiful country. And yeah, that is sort of where I do most of my hunting because that's only about 3 to 4 hour drive away from where I am.
Okay.
So yeah, me and a different friend, we planned a trip to go up there for about a week, and we've been sighting our bows in and just as you do, getting ready for the holiday and getting all of our gear dialed in and checked. And we make the trip up there, and we get the first night we arrive, we've set up camp again. We've maybe been there for 3 or 4 hours, and we end up getting the target out of the back of the ute, and we set it up, and we thought just to make sure we haven't bumped our bows in the travels or anything, we'll just do a few practice shots and whatever.
Okay.
And I pull my bow back, and I'm sort of at full draw, and I can hear this really high pitched cracking sound, and it's a sound that I've never heard before. So I let my bow down, and I asked my mate that was with me if he had heard that as well, and he said he hadn't. Well, okay, might be imagining, I don't know. Anyway, I pull my bow back again, and my whole bow just exploded into 3 bits. And what had happened was the string had snapped while I was at full draw, and my arrow shot off one way, and my bow was in bits and pieces, and I was absolutely devastated because we'd only just gotten to the property, hadn't even had the opportunity to go hunt yet.
God,
So
Jesse, you have the
I'm not
worst
sure.
luck, man.
I know. I don't know what it is with me and the first 3 hours of a hunting trip, but it ended up working out all right because I sort of said to him, I was like, look, obviously I've had previous success with getting a goat, and he hadn't. So I said, this hunt, I'll just help you, and let's get one on the deck for him. And it was quite funny. We were hunting there for probably a few days, didn't really see too much, and I think it might have even been on the last day we came across a mob of goats that were feeding out in this sort of pastoral crop area. And we'd seen them come down from the range and walk through the creek bed and then out into the crop. And we thought there's no way that we can get out there without being seen. So we were just going to sit in the creek bed and wait for him to come back through. And at this point in time, he really just wanted to get himself a big billy. That was all he was interested in. And there was quite a nice billy in this mob. There was sort of maybe 10 to 15 goats in this mob. And there was just one standout billy. And so they start making their way back in. And as they're crossing through the creek, we were set up, ready to go. And I just let out a bit of a, goat bleat to make him stop. And it worked perfectly. He stopped, he looked, and my mate released the arrow. And everything sort of happened a bit quick. I didn't really see where his shot went, and there was goats running in every direction.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the goat that he'd been aiming for, and it looked like it was completely fine. And then I sort of look around a bit more, and there's this substantially smaller goat with an arrow in it running off. And I looked at him. I was like, mate, like, what did you do? Like, and he said, I could have sworn I hit the big one, and he was second guessing everything. Anyway, the smaller goat expired. We watch it fall over, and I said to him, all right, well, get yourself ready. I can still see that big billy. Let's go after that, and we'll come back and deal with that other one after. So we put in maybe like a bit of a 5-minute stalk. We got within shooting range, and he pulled his bow back again. He was at full draw, just ready to shoot. And the goat, like before he shot, the goat fell over and expired. And the arrow had gone straight through that one and stuck into the other one. So you actually got 2 goats with the one arrow. Yeah, it was so funny. We couldn't believe it. Like, yeah. So now it's a bit of a running joke with us. Like, I'll do like a really good shot on something, and he goes, "Yeah, that's not too bad, but it's not 2 goats with 1 arrow." Like, it's funny.
That's amazing.
But it was
that's so funny that you guys see the little one with the arrow in it, and you're like, "What did you do?" And he's like, "I have no idea. Like, I thought I did it right, but that is like truly hunting, because like in the moment, man, it just like." Everything happens so quick, and sometimes it's hard to remember, but like you're doing everything exactly how you think you should be, and then when it's all said and done, you're like, what happened there? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, no, you can't really beat that though. Like he's got you forever. Every goat you kill, he's gonna be like, yeah, it's not two.
Yeah.
It's not two goats.
I don't think I'm gonna get 3 goats with one arrow. So.
Yeah, that's funny. I think you're the first person to have a story on the podcast of an arrow killing 2 animals, like 1 arrow, 2 animals. We've had several people with like a rifle killing a couple whitetail, but never an arrow. That's impressive.
Yeah, it was very lucky.
Yeah. My goodness.
But
man.
it worked out well because obviously we don't. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, it worked out well because obviously we don't eat the billies, but because the arrow went through and hit the other one, we actually completely butchered the smaller one, and we took all that meat home. So it worked out very well in the end.
That's amazing. And was that on the first day of that hunt, or was it a few days in?
No, that was towards the end of the hunt. That one was.
Okay. Got it. Another question I have. Again, I don't know. Do you guys just use the same like American brands of bows, or are there bow companies, outside of the United States? Like in the U.S., we only use American bows. You got Matthews and Hoyt and Prime and PSE and Darton, all of those. What were you shooting that blew up?
So I was actually shooting a PSE Stinger, so older bow. But yeah, we have mostly the same. Like we've got Matthews, PSE. They're sort of the main ones we have over here. Hoyt. There's none that I know of that are exclusively Australian.
Yeah. Interesting, man. Okay, cool. So what do you think happened to your string? Was it just you hadn't replaced it in a long time, or did it maybe like nick a broadhead, or what do you think is the cause of the bow explosion?
Yeah, I think I might have just been a bit lazy with the maintenance, and I think it might have actually just been wearing very thin where it rolls over the cams, and I just hadn't noticed because I hadn't put a new string on it for years, and I have literally shot hundreds and hundreds of arrows out of it. So probably just user error, but yeah, I was pretty lucky that it didn't go bad. But
yeah, you're lucky like the arrow didn't explode and like skewer your arm, because knowing your luck, that's what would have happened.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there was actually one other pretty crazy thing that happened on that hunt. So I mentioned before, one of the wild animals that we do have here is wild dogs, and they can get quite big. And so after that hunt where we'd shot both the goats, the big billy carcass was actually down in the creek bed, and right next to where we were camping was this sheer cliff. The Flinders Ranges is basically made up of this real rocky gully sort of sheer rock face. It's very impressive country. And when we hopped up in the morning, the carcass of the goat was gone. It was absolutely nowhere to be found. And we sort of had to look around for it for a bit, and we just thought it was very odd. Like it was just gone without a trace. And yeah, later that afternoon when we went for a hunt, we climbed up this rock face, and it's probably elevated, I'd say probably 150, 200 meters. And you got to use your hands as you're climbing, like holding onto trees, and like it's very, very steep. And when we got to the top of this, this rock face, after probably half an hour of climbing, the wild goat carcass was at the very top, still mostly intact. And yeah, we have no idea how it got from the bottom to the top of that gully overnight. So we're hoping it was just wild dogs or something. But yeah, it's very odd. Like it's just a very massive, big animal to drag up that steep.
That is crazy. Do you think? Man, I don't even know. So the dogs, are they just again domestic dogs that got loose, and so you just have packs of wild dogs? Okay.
Yeah, but they're very mixed.
Like
Cool.
Do they like look like, I don't know, different breeds? Like, are they golden retrievers? Are they all just like kind of muddy looking, or you tell me?
Yeah, they're pretty muddy. Like a lot of them sort of look sort of German Shepherd, sort of cross Australian Kelpie. Like there's nothing that looks nice. They're just very like mutt sort of looking dogs.
Gotcha. So no like wild poodles running around.
No, definitely not. No.
Okay. Very cool. All right. Cool. Yeah. Like in the United States, we have, wolves and coyotes and all these things that aren't dogs that basically look like dogs. So I was just curious.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, that's another crazy story. Gosh. I don't even know if I have any more questions. I've been asking them along the way, but let's keep going. What else you got, Jesse?
I've probably only honestly got sort of one more, which is quite a recent trip. It was only last July. Okay. And I actually took someone that I work with. He's never been hunting before, but he's always been very fascinated when I've come back from trips and stuff. He's always asked a lot of questions. And yeah, I actually took him on his first hunt. And yeah, it was a pretty just cool overall experience, sort of taking someone out that's never been before. And yeah, so we actually went back to the Flinders Ranges, same property as the last story. And yeah, there was just so many little things. Like he got his first goat, which was pretty cool, but I also got a very decent billy. So yeah, we left the camp. It's probably maybe a 3-hour walk right at the back of the property to where it's sort of like this big basin, and you can sit up the top, and it's just really good glassing. And yeah, so we did the big hike out the back, and then we're sitting there glassing for a few hours, and we're just watching this really big mob of billies, and they were just working their way slowly towards us, but then they'd walk away, and then they'd come back, and they were just teasing us pretty much.
Of course.
But yeah, eventually they did come in close enough that we could actually make a play on them. So again, this where we were glassing was so elevated, like we were very high up, and it took us probably an hour to get down.
Okay. Another quick question for you, Jesse.
Yep.
So I'm just wondering, is this also like somebody's land that let you hunt on their land, or is this like a chunk of, I don't know, do you have public land in Australia?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just someone that we know. I don't actually know if we've got public hunting land over here. I don't think we do. I think it's just all private.
Okay, so you just got to know somebody to gain access. Okay, very interesting.
Yeah.
We're talking about this like super famous range, and like, you know, here in Colorado, like we've got hundreds of millions of, no, maybe not hundreds of acres or hundreds of millions of acres, but we have like at least 20 million acres of just like public land. You just go do whatever you want on it.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
And you talked about this. Yeah, you talked about this huge range, this really cool like camping area. When people go camping, do they go camping on people's lands? To like, are there like campgrounds that people like you pay a fee, or just people just drive into the bush and hope no one finds them, or how does that all work?
Yeah, so it's actually a bit of an interesting area. Like the Flinders Ranges, it's a huge area. It'd be thousands and thousands of acres. And it's basically broken up into areas that are sort of private land. Some of it's a national park, so you can obviously go camping in those areas. And then we can't hunt national parks in Australia, so well, not in South Australia anyway. So there's kind of areas to camp, areas to hunt. It's all sort of broken up. So
yeah, you can't hunt national parks here either, but you can hunt national forests, and you can hunt Bureau of Land Management and state forests, and we have all this other public land. So I was just curious. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
No, that's all right. So yeah, we'd got up early. We'd made the hike out to this range, just hoping to get some bigger goats. And yeah, like I said, we'd glassed for a while. We found a really good mob, and then we made the descent down this into the gully. So it took us about an hour to get down there, and then I sort of stalked in on these goats for a couple of hours because they were pretty decent, and I really wanted to get one of them. And I actually made a really good stalk in on this goat, and he was standing up on his back legs eating a tree when I shot him. And yeah, he was just a really nice billy. I got him on the ground, and we walked over to him, and I said to my mate, I said, "Oh, my phone's in my backpack." I said, "Can you use your phone and just take a couple photos of him?" And he sort of fills his pockets, and then he's like, I'm not sure. I think I left it at the top of the range where we were glassing. I was like, so then we packed out this goat, like got the head off and everything. And we had to, like, we were already tired. It was almost dark, like ready to go home. And then we had to re-walk up this massive cliff just to get to the top. And sure enough, his phone was sitting there on the rock. But
gosh, that's so annoying. Do you remember the episode? I very briefly mentioned it, but like, it was my fourth rifle hunt where we kept getting stuck and sliding backwards down the hills. Do you remember that story, Jesse?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna tell it to you if you hadn't, but like basically my buddy, and I'll tell it for the listeners, so you're gonna have to hear it twice, Jesse. Sorry, man.
That's good.
But my buddy, we're driving. We drove in the morning. I feel like I gotta tell the whole thing. Okay, so we're driving in the morning, Colorado, third rifle, blizzarding, and we're going in, and it's pitch black, so we can't see what we're driving into. We've never been to this area. I'm just like, yeah, let's go have some fun. I got some intel. So we're driving, and as we get back, probably 15, 20 minutes into like off the main roads back into this valley, we see up this hillside some truck lights, and we're like, well, that's not good. So we drive up and stop, and the truck is basically, it's a truck with a trailer with a four-wheeler on the back, and it's jackknifed. Like the trailer's jackknifed, and they're like, you guys got to give us a little bit of room, back up. So I back up, And I'm like looking at my buddy, and I'm like, man, I don't think I'm going to be able to go forward. I'm like, we're on this, 8 inches of snow on a hill. Like, I think we might be in trouble. Either way, the guys fix their situation. They go ahead, get out of here, or you guys can go ahead. And I pull it out of park into drive, and I just immediately start going backwards. I don't know if this rings any bells, Jesse, but yeah, I'm sliding 5 miles an hour, or what would that be like? I don't know. I want to say like 8 to 10 kilometers an hour, something like that. And I look at my buddy, and I'm like, man, I am not doing this. Like, this is completely out of my control. Now, fortunately, we slid backwards a little ways, didn't run into any trees. There's no cliffs. We just sort of slid probably about 100 yards, like way longer than I felt comfortable sliding. But either way, we eventually stop, and I'm like, I'm going to back down this hill, and we're going to walk the rest of the way. And so we back down, hunt all day. Long story short, which I don't like doing on the podcast, but we're going to do here. We're leaving that day, Jesse, and we've hunted all day, blizzarded all day. We couldn't see a thing. We couldn't see 50 feet. So we basically just started a fire and stayed alive until we decided that we could just get out of here and go back to camp. So we're leaving, and my buddy's patting his pockets, just like your friend. And he's like, I think I left my phone. And at this point, we're driving out in a little bit of like daylight, and we realized that we had driven in off of a cliff. So like this cliffside drops 150, 200 feet down into a lake, and we had no idea when we drove in because it was so dark. But on the way out, I was like, oh, this is sketchy, especially knowing how slippery everything is. So we get down that, and that's when he realizes he left his phone. And now I'm like, oh, man, I got to drive back up this thing. And I'm just like, just my heart sunk. I'm like, oh, man, I don't want to do this, but whatever. We got to go get his phone. So we turn around, heading up this hill, and right when we hit that cliff, man, I don't know if you remember this part, but that same truck with the same trailer and the same ATV is coming down that hill. And it's not a 2-lane road. There is room for one vehicle, nothing else. And so now, like, I slam on my brakes. I see them slam on their brakes, but I can see them sliding down the mountain. And I'm just like, oh, shit. They're coming right for us. So I hit it into reverse, and we start going, and I hit the brakes. And now we're sliding. They're sliding. Again, my right side is a 200-foot cliff into a frozen lake. And I'm like, this is the worst-case scenario. And I realized that with all the weight of their trailer and their ATV and all the stuff, they're sliding faster than we are. So I'm like, all right, well, at this point, I just have to floor it backwards down this frozen mountain to not get hit by this trailer and hopefully keep everybody alive. But what I didn't know, and in retrospect, was I made the right decision. But when I hit the gas, my tires actually gripped. When I was just sort of sitting there, I was just sliding. But with my tires spinning, they actually gripped, and I was able to actually control myself backwards. But I had to drive backwards probably about 80 to 100 yards while those guys were just sliding straight down this mountain right into us. And, man, it was the sketchiest thing ever, all for my buddy's cell phone. So when you said your buddy left his phone, it gave me PTSD because that's like the worst thing I've ever had to do in the mountains was that trip. Every day of that trip was miserable. But it is what it is. So that's my story. I wanted to share with you.
Well, you've done well to get out of that one for sure.
My goodness, I got lucky, man. I don't know. I don't want to ever go back there again. I'll tell you that.
It's so funny.
This. Go ahead.
Oh, it's just funny. Like, obviously, when you drove in at night as well, you would have had no idea. And probably maybe not being as careful as you would have been if you had have known how big the drop off was.
For sure, absolutely. I mean, granted, it was a nice straightaway, but my goodness, if I had known, I would have definitely been probably going a lot slower. I was driving in there pretty quick, but had no idea, absolutely no idea.
Blizzard Entertainment presents Midnight, the newest expansion for World of Warcraft. Midnight calls every hero home to Azeroth. All paths lead to this moment. Xalatath rises, the Void follows, and the Sunwell stands in peril. Raiders, explorers, storytellers, newcomers, and legends alike. This is your world, your story, your moment. Because Azeroth is home, and home is always worth fighting for. Pre-purchase now at worldofwarcraft.com.
Hi, I'm Jim. I'm not an actor, just a guy living with prostate cancer. My wife and I face each day head on. We asked my doctor about Xtandi enzalutamide.
Xtandi 40 milligram tablets treats men with prostate cancer that has spread to other parts of the body and responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Xtandi may cause serious side effects: seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls and bone fractures, swallowing problems, or choking that can lead to death. Stop Xtandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Xtandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Xtandi. Common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache.
Visit Xtandi.com to watch my story.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
By the way, I interrupted your story, Jesse. Do you have anything else to add on the end of your story, or you tell me?
Yeah, so I probably rushed through that a bit, but really that whole hunting trip was sort of more so just based about taking someone out that hadn't been before, and I guess probably like the experience, like, you know what it's like. I think every hunter knows what it's like. There's a lot of things that happen which, like in the hunting or just being outdoors even, that you just never get to witness unless you're out there doing it. And we had this pretty crazy moment when we were actually walking back we went out to get his phone, and then we're walking back down this little gully that we'd sort of never been through. And there was all these really big goats, and they were just having, I'm not even sure what they were doing, but it was like a frenzy. Like all these billies were just fighting, and
that's cool.
It was really cool to be in the part of. And I sort of said to him, I said, look, we don't need to shoot anything else. We've sort of got our meat. We've got a big billy each. I was like, let's go up and just run up there and have a look. And the goats honestly did not even care that we were there. Like I could have run over and grabbed one. They were just fighting right in front of us, and they were jumping around on these big rocky boulders and then running back and doing big headbutts like right in front of us. And we were just looking at each other like he said to me, he's like, this is like something out of like a movie. Like it's like, it was just so spectacular. But yeah, I don't know. And then when we came back from that holiday, the trip and whatever, he said to me, he's like, I'm applying for my firearms license right away. He's like, I just want to, that's what I want to do now. He's like, he was really taken with the whole trip. So
that's awesome, man. You got yourself a new hunting buddy. So
well, that's it.
So he's getting do you need a firearms license to have a bow, or does he want to just try rifle so that he can decide whether he prefers rifle or bow? Yeah,
so it's actually very interesting in Australia at the moment. South Australia only. Bow hunting's actually very recently been banned. It's actually illegal. Which is devastating because I obviously started bow hunting and then I got into rifle hunting, but I always had the intention to go back to bow or at least do 50-50. But yeah, in the last year or two, it's become illegal. They sort of just made an example out of a couple of bad situations that happened. People shooting animals that they shouldn't have been shooting.
Okay. Do you mind, like, being that like this is all news that's new to me? Yeah. Would you mind sharing what happened and then? Yeah. So basically, to as much detail as you know.
Yeah, no, that's right. So basically, there's like a you know how you'd have like over here, it's the RSPCA is what we've got. I'm not sure what America has. But that's like a group that sort of looks after like animal welfare and stuff like that. Okay. And as far as I know, there was like a kangaroo that got found with an arrow in it, and there was someone's pet cat that had an arrow in it, and there's a few animals that got shot around the similar time, and they sort of just built a case off of those animals and just said that, you know, bow hunting's inhumane and it should be banned, and Parliament sort of passed it. So obviously anyone that bow hunts would know that if you do it right, bow hunting can be one of the most efficient ways of hunting. But yeah, they just sort of made an example out of it, and unfortunately it's illegal at the moment, but I'm sort of hoping maybe that will get reviewed in the future and it'll be brought back, because I would absolutely love to get back into it. I think personally taking an animal with a compound bow is I find it more satisfying, and it's definitely more hard work than it is just to shoot it with a rifle. But
Yeah. That's interesting, man. So I lived in Texas for a while, and we got all these neighborhood emails and whatnot, and man, there was a deer or something with an arrow sticking out of it every other week. I think it's just kids. You give a kid a bow or a little rifle or whatever, they're going to go out and shoot whatever they can. It's just every hunter, it's just what little boys and little girls do when they're given a weapon. So
exactly,
it sucks. Yeah. It sucks that it got so big there that they banned it all together, because that doesn't make any sense. So are they just banned in general? Like you can't purchase them anymore, or is it banned for hunting?
So it's purely banned for hunting. So you can still go in and buy them. You're legally allowed to own them, but if you get caught hunting, you get fined.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So
that makes honestly, it'll make no difference whatsoever, because it's still going to be little kids with their bows doing the same thing. So.
Yeah, and I mean, like, what it's like. You said it yourself. Like, when you're younger, like there's shots that I would have taken back in the day, which I wouldn't take now. Just the more experience you get, and it's just one of those things. Unfortunately, they've just made an example out of a bad situation. But
for sure, man. I mean, we're coming up on 200 episodes. I wouldn't be surprised if 100 of the people on this podcast were like, "Well, I was hunting when I was little, and every little bird, squirrel, whatever it was, I would, they were all endangered when I was there." So it's just, I don't know. I mean, granted, it's hard to stop a little kid from doing that kind of stuff. I'm sure I shot little birds, and I wasn't even a hunter until I was 30. But like, my parents probably gave me a BB gun, and I was probably popping robins. So that's too bad. That's too bad, man. Well, hopefully you can get that fixed, because there's something special about archery hunting. I think you get that, right? You said you just shot a compound bow, and you were like, I'm sold. This is my personality.
Absolutely.
And it's true. It's true. And I suggest everybody should go out and shoot a bow, and not like at a paper target necessarily, but like go outdoors and shoot it. I think shooting a bow outside is like what it's all about, man. I don't know. It just feels very, I don't know. It feels like what we were meant to be doing.
Primitive about it almost. I feel like it's such a big challenge. And you've obviously got to, close the gap so much more than when you're rifle hunting with the animal itself. And you're just really in the moment, I think, when you're bow hunting. That's what I absolutely love about it.
For sure. I agree, man. Here's a funny thing. You may already know this, but like, I've actually never shot anything with a rifle. I've gone rifle hunting. I want to be successful with a rifle, but for whatever reason, I just am more successful with my bow. And I'm not saying it's easier. It's just circumstantial is all it is. I'm not a good enough hunter to say that, one thing's easier than the other. It's just the opportunity came up with my bow, and it has multiple times. Well, cool, man. Well, Jesse, you got any stories? I think you might have said that was the last one. Any other ones you want to share, or are we good?
That's probably the last one, I think, really.
Okay.
Yeah, that's sort of the three that I was pretty keen to share with you guys. And
that was awesome, man. No, I wish you hadn't have broken your arm and blown up your bow, but in general, there were some fun stories, and I'll be honest, I learned a lot. Like, sometimes the stories are just fun. Sometimes I learn a lot, and I think I learned a lot more about hunting in Australia, so I appreciate that. Let me ask you this. You know what's coming next. Do you have any links or any socials you want to share with the world, or do you want to walk off into the sunset?
I'm probably happy just to walk off into the sunset, I think. I do have some socials, but none of it is hunting related, so it's probably not much use.
Okay. All right, perfect, man. Well, Jesse, man, thank you so much for reaching out, man. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for rescheduling with me. I think you got sick last time, right? We had to reschedule. So hopefully you're feeling better. But thank you so much for listening from the other side of the planet. It's pretty cool for me to get to talk to someone that listens to the podcast that far away. So thank you, man. I appreciate you for being a fan, and I appreciate you for coming on and sharing your stories with us. It's my honor.
No, well, thank you very much. And like I said to you before we even started the show, like I just love this podcast so much, and just hearing everyone else's stories, and you can really envision when they're sort of telling it, you sort of feel like you can take your own take on it, and you sort of almost, well, I do anyway. I'm imagining that I'm there, and I just absolutely love it. And I think it's great. So I'm glad I could come on and contribute.
Perfect. Hopefully everybody listening today can envision themselves in Australia snapping their arm. So thank you, Jesse. All right, man. Thank you. And dude, let's get out there, get some rifle kills, and then we'll have you back on. You're still very young. I'm excited to hear where your hunting goes from here, man. So we'll have you back on in the future.
No, thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, brother.
Bye.
All right, guys. That's it. Another couple stories in the books. I want to thank Jesse again for coming on the podcast. I do believe he was our first Aussie, which is awesome. I know we've had people from New Zealand, getting more and more people from around the world. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate you. To you listeners, I appreciate you guys as well. Thanks for tuning in every week. If you have any feedback, let me know. I am trying to improve, and sometimes I just get busy, and I know my product could be better, but give me your feedback. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Share the podcast with someone. Give us a like, a share, a review, all that stuff. And also, I've got a couple links in the show notes. If you guys could check that out, support those sponsors. That supports me. Specifically right now, I'm with Killshot, Vortex, and dabbling around with GoRuck a little bit. But check out Killshot Coffee, check out Vortex, check out GoRuck. Thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate you. Now get out there and make some stores of your own.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.